Rocio Woninkoff. Location: Mijas, Malaga, Spain. Age: 19. Key suspects: Dolores Loli Vasquez, initially, later Tony Alexander King. Case outcome: wrongful conviction of Vasquez. Real killer convicted years later. Rocio Woninkoff was a 19-year-old Spanish-British teenager living in Mijas, a coastal town in southern Spain. She was the daughter of Alicia Ornoz and had previously lived with her mother and her mother's former partner, Dolores Loli Vasquez, a woman of Galician origin. Their household was once close-knit, but Vasquez and Ornoz eventually separated under tense circumstances. Rocio continued living with her mother. Disappearance and discovery. On the evening of October 9, 1999, Rocio left her home to visit her boyfriend. She never returned. Her mother reported her missing the next day. A few days later, her blood-stained clothes and shoes were found near the roadside. On October 27, her partially decomposed body was discovered in a field near a roadside, showing signs of a brutal stabbing attack. The wrongful conviction of Dolores Vasquez. Despite a lack of direct physical evidence, Dolores Vasquez was arrested on suspicion of murder. The prosecution built a case around circumstantial evidence and perceived motive, arguing that Vasquez had a strained relationship with Rocio and bore resentment toward her mother after their breakup. Vasquez was described as cold and emotionally distant during media appearances. She had a previous domestic relationship with Rocio's mother, Alicia Ornoz. The public and media framed her as a jealous ex with violent tendencies. In 2001, Vasquez was found guilty of Rocio's murder and sentenced to 15 years in prison, despite a complete lack of DNA or forensic evidence linking her to the crime. Public opinion heavily influenced the case, and media sensationalism played a major role. The real killer, Tony Alexander King. In 2003, the case took a dramatic turn when Tony Alexander King, a British expat and known sex offender living in Spain, was arrested for the rape and murder of 17-year-old Sonia Carabantes, whose murder bore similarities to Rocio's case. DNA evidence from Sonia's case was cross-referenced with that from Rocio's murder scene, and matched. Further investigation revealed that King had a criminal history in the UK, including multiple sexual assaults. Was living in Spain under an alias to escape his past. Had a pattern of violent behavior against young women. In 2005, Tony King was convicted for the murders of both Rocio Woninkoff and Sonia Carabantes, and sentenced to 62 years in prison. Victim: Assunta Bastera Porto. Date of disappearance: September 21, 2013. Date body found: September 22, 2013. Location: Teo, Galicia, Spain. Age: 12 years old. Parents: convicted murderers, Rosario Porto, mother, and Alfonso Bastera, father. Crime: premeditated murder of their adopted daughter. Still unclear, but linked to parental control, psychological instability, and financial issues. Assunta Bastera Porto was born in China in 2001 and adopted as a baby by a well-off Spanish couple. Rosario Porto, a lawyer and daughter of a prominent local family, and Alfonso Bastera, a journalist and writer. Assunta grew up in Santiago de Compostela, Galicia, and was considered a gifted child, intelligent, multilingual, musically talented, and excelling academically. Despite her privileged upbringing, those close to the family reported signs of emotional instability and a tense household dynamic. After years of marriage, Rosario and Alfonso divorced in 2012 but maintained a close, almost codependent relationship, often spending time together and jointly raising Assunta. September 21, 2013. Around 1:30 p.m., CCTV cameras captured Rosario Porto picking up Assunta from her father's home in Santiago. At 6:30 p.m., Rosario claimed to have dropped Assunta off at her father's apartment so she could study. By 9:30 p.m., Rosario called the police to report Assunta missing. Shortly after midnight, Assunta's body was found by a passerby on a rural road in Teo, a small town near Santiago. An autopsy revealed asphyxiation by manual strangulation. Prior to death, she had ingested a large dose of lorazepam, an anti-anxiety sedative, brand name, Orfidal. Toxicology reports confirmed that she had been drugged repeatedly for at least 3 months leading up to her death. Investigation and arrest. The case shocked Spain. From the outset, Rosario's behavior raised suspicions. She was inconsistent and evasive in her statements. Surveillance footage showed her car near the site where Assunta's body was dumped, contradicting her alibi. Traces of Assunta's DNA were found in the car and on ropes discovered at the family's summer house, matching ligature marks on the girl's wrists. Police also discovered repeated purchases of lorazepam made by Alfonso Bastera, though he denied giving Assunta the drug. Witnesses reported seeing Assunta disoriented and drowsy on several occasions. By late September, both parents were arrested and charged with murder. Investigators concluded that they had premeditated the killing, using lorazepam to subdue her before strangling her. Victim: Marta del Castillo Casanueva. Date of disappearance: January 24, 2009. Age: 17. Location: Seville, Spain. Status: murdered, but her body has never been found. Prime suspect: Miguel Carcano, ex-boyfriend. Other accused: Francisco Javier Delgado, Carcano's brother, Samuel Benitez, Maria Garcia, and El Cuco, a minor at the time. Case significance: one of Spain's most tragic and high-profile unsolved murder cases, marked by false confessions, changing testimonies, and massive public outcry. Marta del Castillo was a vibrant and well-liked 17-year-old girl from Seville. She was a typical teenager, active on social media, with a loving family and a wide circle of friends. At the time of her disappearance, she had recently ended a turbulent relationship with Miguel Carcano, a 19-year-old who would later confess to her murder. January 24, 2009. Marta left her home around 5 p.m. to meet with Miguel Carcano. She was last seen alive that evening at Miguel's apartment on Leon 13th Street in Seville. Her family reported her missing that night when she didn't return home. The initial investigation moved quickly due to Marta's high-profile disappearance. February 13, 2009. Miguel Carcano confessed to killing Marta with an ashtray after an argument. He claimed he and his friend Samuel Benitez disposed of her body in the Guadalquivir River. Francisco Javier Delgado, Miguel's older brother, was later implicated, along with his girlfriend Maria Garcia and El Cuco, a minor friend. However, Miguel repeatedly changed his story. Version 1: he alone killed Marta and dumped the body with Samuel's help. Version 2: he said El Cuco was present and helped move the body. Version 3: he blamed his brother Francisco Javier, claiming he struck Marta during an argument and that they all worked together to cover it up. Version 4 to 7: he provided various locations of the body, the river, a dump, a field, etc. All turned out to be false. These conflicting testimonies severely hampered the investigation and search efforts. No blood or biological traces of Marta were found in the river or alleged disposal sites. In Miguel's apartment, a small amount of blood, belonging to Marta, was found on the floor, but not enough to confirm a violent death. Despite extensive searches, river draggings, land excavations, garbage dumps, Marta's body has never been found. Miriam Garcia Iborra, 14, Antonia Tony Gomez Rodriguez, 15, Desiree Hernande Folch, 14, date of disappearance, November 13, 1992. Date bodies found, January 27, 1993. Location, Alcácer, Valencia, Spain. Crime, kidnapping, torture, rape, and triple homicide. Main suspects, Miguel Ricart and Antonio Angles. Outcome, Ricart was convicted, Angles fled and remains one of Europe's most wanted fugitives. Who were the Alcácer girls? Miriam, Tony, and Desiree were three teenage girls from Alcácer, a small town near Valencia, Spain. They were close friends who lived in the same neighborhood and attended the same school. On the night of November 13, 1992, they planned to attend a high school party at the nearby town of Picassent, just 4 kilometers away. They left home around 7 p.m. and were last seen hitchhiking on the road, a common practice at the time, to get to the event. Disappearance and investigation. When the girls failed to return home, their families quickly raised the alarm. A nationwide search began, covered heavily by Spanish media. The case received unprecedented attention, especially due to the girls' ages and the apparent randomness of the crime. Despite intense coverage and public appeals, the investigation initially stalled. Months passed without results, fueling public frustration. Breakthrough: the discovery of the bodies. On January 27, 1993, two beekeepers in the La Romana area, about 50 kilometers from Alcácer, discovered 3 shallow graves near an abandoned rural house. Inside, authorities found the badly decomposed bodies of the 3 girls. The autopsies revealed they had been killed, at least one by gunshot and others likely by blunt force trauma or stabbing. The level of violence shocked the nation. Main suspects, Miguel Ricart and Antonio Angles. Soon after the discovery, police arrested Miguel Ricart, a low-level criminal. He confessed and implicated his associate, Antonio Angles, as the ringleader. Miguel Ricart, El Rubio, allegedly helped kidnap and kill the girls. Confessed under police pressure, but later retracted many details. Was the only one convicted in 1997. Sentenced to 170 years, served 21 years, released in 2013 due to a change in Spanish sentencing laws. Antonio Angles, a violent ex-convict and drug dealer, escaped shortly after the arrest of Ricart. Last seen near Lisbon, Portugal, where he reportedly stowed away on a ship. Despite international warrants and Interpol alerts, he has never been captured. Remains one of Europe's most wanted fugitives. Victim, Eva Blanco Puig. Age, 16 years old. Date of disappearance, April 19, 1997. Date body found, April 21, 1997. Location, Algete, Madrid, Spain. Cause of death, stab wounds to the neck. Solved yes, after 18 years, due to a DNA match. Killer, Ahmed Chel Gurj, arrested 2015, died in custody. Who was Eva Blanco? Eva Blanco was a bright and popular 16-year-old schoolgirl from Algete, a small town near Madrid. She lived with her family, had good grades, and was described as a responsible and outgoing teenager. On the evening of Saturday, April 19, 1997, Eva went out with friends to a local bar after school and never came home. Timeline of the crime, April 19, 1997, Eva went out with classmates to have soft drinks at a local establishment called La Cumba. Around 11:20 p.m., she left to walk home alone, a 10-minute walk to her house. She never arrived. April 21, 1997, her body was found in a ditch near the N3 highway, about 20 kilometers from her home, by a farmer. She was partially undressed, showed signs of sexual assault, and had been stabbed 19 times, most wounds concentrated on her neck and back. Early investigation. Investigators collected semen samples from Eva's body and clothing, which provided an unknown male DNA profile. Initial theories included a random sexual assault, possibly from someone offering her a ride. Despite interviewing over 5,000 people and collecting 2,000-plus DNA samples over several years, no match was found. The case grew cold but remained open due to public pressure and the victim's family's persistence. Breakthrough, DNA and genetic tracing. In 2013 to 2015, Spain's Civil Guard launched a renewed investigation using modern DNA technology and familial genetic tracing, a new tool at the time. They determined the suspect's genetic profile was of North African origin. Investigators targeted North African immigrants who lived in Algete in 1997. From that narrowed list, they collected DNA from male relatives of possible suspects. A match was eventually found through a relative's sample, pointing to Ahmed Chel Gurj, a Moroccan man.